Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my shotgun shack in the Texas Outback. So let's talk about the Virginia Second Amendment struggle. I'm going to try to recap without getting too far down the bunny trail. Once again, if you don't know this topic, there's lots of information out there. I recommend, if you want the details, to go to the Guns and Gadget channel on YouTube. He's been covering this really, really well. Also, Liberty Doll is a little bit more fun, I think, than the Guns and Gadget guy, but they both cover this really well. But I want to talk about some things that aren't being said, okay? But to recap real quick, Virginia got funded by Bloomberg, the billionaire, with a anti-gun and pro-confiscation of gun agenda to hit the Virginia people once the Democrats got control of the legislature. And it's headed up by Northrop, the governor there, who is the one who talks about keeping babies comfortable so they can harvest their organs, post-birth abortion. He's in favor of that. He's also the blackface governor who has pictures of him dressed up in blackface from his college days. But yet he claims to be a social justice warrior. So we've got this basically dirty, paid-for politician who's a hypocrite. And he is heading up this purchased by Bloomberg Congress in the state of Virginia, who are vowing to confiscate pretty much all semi-automatic firearms and leaving you with nothing but revolvers or lever-action rifles or bolt-action rifles. And so the thing seems to be coming to a head on January 20th, 2020. And there's going to be a huge demonstration. Militias from around the country intend to show up and march. And although you could say the political arm of this movement is saying leave the long guns at home and the military garb at home, it just upsets people. They don't understand it. I don't know that people are going to listen, because there's the fear that if we show up there armed, we better be ready to dance the, electric jigaloo? What is it? Bugaloo. That's it. We got to be able to dance the bugaloo. So, people are saying if I'm going there prepared to defend myself at the highest level of readiness. So people will probably be there with long arms and chest rigs and extra magazines. And if I went, I might even strap on the cutlass and wear a sword, just as a symbolic gesture, because those are arms as well. And what a lot of this was based on goes back clear to the Magna Carta, when they were talking about the right to keep and bear swords. Okay, so the right to self-defense is something that has been well established in history. The history of our republic has always protected it, and these laws that they intend to pass haven't even passed yet. They don't come into office until the 8th of January, but they intend to pass laws against the ownership of most semi-automatic firearms. That includes a mandatory registration and confiscation of said firearms. And this means by force if necessary. Northrop, what they've been calling him, the baby killer, he's talking about bringing in the National Guard to enforce things. I think the National Guard already is going to be there on the 20th of January when the militias march. So there will be law enforcement, local and state law enforcement there in Richmond, Virginia, along with a National Guard presence, I'm sure of it. And whether or not they intervene and do anything let's just say it could very well be a powder keg. It just depends on the attitude of the people there who are law enforcement in the Capitol. Now, the legislature is already trying to head off this march on Richmond ahead of time. In Richmond, Virginia, because up till now they've been a pro-Second Amendment state, it's always been allowed for you to carry arms in the Capitol building. So you can open carry. It's an open carry state. And under the current laws, you can walk right into the state house with your gun strapped on. And it is completely legal. Now, they being the new legislature and the governor, vow to pass immediately, as soon as they get sworn in, a ban on firearms in the Capitol area in Richmond. So there'll be a safety zone around the Capitol building where firearms are not allowed. And if I was running that, what do you do next? We're gonna war game this out. This is the second war game Virginia video here. And so right now, the first order of business is, since we can't really do anything in the legislature, they've got the majority, they're going to take whatever law they want and pass it. Northrop's going to sign it. We've lost there already, okay? And I'll talk later about the sanctuary counties and the sheriffs and all of that. But right now, let's just talk about what happens in Virginia on the 20th of January. So they passed this law that makes it illegal for you to carry in that area. Now, normally that wouldn't go in effect until July, but they're changing their own rules. They say they can do that, and they're going to make it an immediate ban as of the 8th of January to ban the open carry of firearms in the area around the Capitol. So how would that change the rally? Well, it would have to be an unarmed rally. So you've got all of these people proclaiming their rights in an unarmed area, and you've got them encircled by police and law enforcement and probably National Guard. And now that no one can have a gun unless they're criminal, only the criminals in the group will be armed, and the rebellious. If I was there, I might consider being rebellious. But I can guarantee you the criminal element that's going to be there. There's going to be a criminal element there. Who am I talking about? Antifa. Don't. They always come into this kind of thing. They're always at play. They are the militia of the left. So Antifa, armed with their usual weapons of knives and clubs and bats and retractable batons and pepper spray and milkshakes with concrete in them. And soon they'll be throwing acid. Make no joke about this. When Antifa throws a milkshake, they're just practicing for when that's a bottle of acid. That's what's coming next, right, from those folks. So the acid-wielding Antifa members will be there amongst all of these unarmed and vulnerable patriots. I don't know. I don't think I'm playing their game by their rules if that happens. If it's just me, right? So what's another method? What's something we could do besides just breaking their law and open carrying right across the line and daring them to disarm us? I mean, that's asking for a fight, right? So what's another option? Well, identify the ring of legality around the Capitol and then encircle the Capitol in a siege, and don't allow vehicles to come and go. Don't allow anybody in and out. Just take control of the perimeter. You have them outnumbered. They expect to be 50,000 people there. With a little organization, you could simply besiege the Capitol. Now, you can make that last for 30 minutes or an hour or a day or a week, right? This is what you do when they set boundaries. You stand on the boundary and exercise your right to the highest level. And, that also could spark off something. But at the same time, what you don't do is disarm and walk into the gun-free zone, because we know bad things happen in gun-free zones, right? Gun-free zones is where all the killing's been taking place. It's always someplace with a sign or a metal detector preventing you legally from carrying and exercising your Second Amendment rights. That's where the bad stuff happens. I was featured on Owen Schroyer's broadcast or report from it was the last Portland rally right before they took InfoWars off of YouTube. The weekend before they took Alex Jones off of YouTube. I was interviewed in Portland at a rally down there. And if you want to see some of that, you can see me mocking Antifa and dancing to their drums while calling them all communists. You're a communist. And what you didn't see was me basically being challenged to a fight by numerous Antifas and me pointing my finger in their face and saying, well, take a swing. Go ahead, fight me. I didn't put some of the harsher stuff from that day in the videos. My son wanted me to put it all out there, but I can be a coarse person when I'm challenged, and I don't like to show that side of myself. Is that wrong? Does that make me a hypocrite? There's a side of myself that is necessary, but I don't like to advertise it. But sorry for the bunny trail there. But when Owen interviewed me, he asked me why I was there. I wasn't really there to take sides with Patriot Prayer, although I side with Patriot Prayer. I do. I'm not so sure about the Proud Boys. I think since Gavin McInnes, since he kind of quit being in charge of them, that maybe they don't have the best leadership right now, is my opinion. They're starting to be construed as a street a street gang instead of activists. And but so I really wasn't there to support them. I was there to mock Antifa because I hate those guys. And I was also there to protest the Portland police, who'd made that whole protest area downtown a no carry zone. So even if you had a concealed handgun license, even if you'd gone through all the classes and been certified to carry a firearm, no one was allowed to carry a firearm on that day downtown. And so in that area where there was going to be this protest, they were patting people down and wouldn't let you in there. So I just never went in there. I stayed on the perimeter. And, Antifa didn't go in there either because they didn't want to get patted down for their weapons because they carry weapons too. And the police are going to declare this a no weapon zone either through legislation or just through what the mayor of Portland does by making these mayoral declarations, and nobody ever challenges them, right? So January 20th in Richmond could end up being a real bloodfest. It could be way worse than Charlottesville. Like, Charlottesville was nothing. Charlottesville was, I almost want to call it an FF, because, it all kind of hinged on a single actor, to really make it, like, nobody would have noticed the scuffle if it hadn't been for the one guy who drove into the crowd with his Plymouth, with his Dodge car. And had he, there's a spider on my phone. Don't get on my camera. I don't know where he went now. No time for spider fighting. But, this is going to be way worse than Charlottesville. With that many people there, with this much on the line, with this much rhetoric leading up to it, with militias coming from all over the place, with state and local law enforcement probably feeling challenged there at Richmond. And Richmond, let's just get real, that area is just, it's Washington, D.C., essentially. So these people don't think like the rest of the state. They don't think like us. They're not constitutional loving Americans, right? So they're crapping their pants right now, and so I don't know what's going to come from that. But I will say this, that as much as I am in favor of open carry demonstrations, I'm in favor of marches for the thing is, they never really accomplish anything. If you want to know the truth, they might bring some attention to your cause, but typically it's the wrong kind of attention. And I'm more in favor of what is probably going to happen through the NRA. If the NRA is not one of them, if the NRA is not the enemy, if I haven't been sending my money to the enemy all my life, right, then if they're on our side at all, the logical thing to happen is the minute they pass a law that affects the Second Amendment, you file massive lawsuits. If you live in Virginia and this law affects you, personally file a lawsuit against the state. Think about this. There's way more than 10,000 active gun owners in the state of Virginia. That's a low number, okay? That's just the hardcore gun-toting folk in Virginia. If all 10,000 of you would, on the day they pass the law, go march right down there and file a massive lawsuit for violation of your Second Amendment constitutional rights, and what'll happen is, hopefully, since they just got control, I'm sure that most of the Virginia judges might be conservative. So maybe we get, this spider is just going up and down my phone right here. You can't see him, but it's cracking me up. He's making a web on my phone while I'm making a video. That's how long this video is. But what'll happen is the right judge gets a hold of this and he will do a stay before they can do anything to the sheriffs, before they can execute any of this, before they can call up the National Guard and do anything. They're going to get their hands tied by the judiciary in the state of Virginia in answer to lawsuits probably by the Gun Owners of America, this Virginia Second Amendment group, the VC something, the sanctuary city people, the sheriffs, right? And at least, hopefully, 10,000 gun owners should file lawsuits against the state and just clog this up and keep it buried under all of this legal proceedings until the smoke clears at the Supreme Court level. So do I think Second Amendment fight in Virginia could trigger a second civil war? Sure it could. It could. If they keep going If it's just a matter of the counties against the state, then yeah, war's going to break out in Virginia. But we're forgetting that there are judges still on the benches that have been put in place by the past Republicans. And I don't see how this unconstitutional legislation makes it past the judicial level to where they're actually able to come up against the sheriffs in these sanctuary counties. So it's a giant chess match of legal proceedings. And let that play out. You know, there's the old saying, the wheels of justice grind slowly. So let's just let the wheels of justice grind this out. I'm not in favor of the January 20th display, honestly, if you ask me. I think it's provocative. It could trigger something. I think we have them defeated in the courts if you let it play out, because this is clearly, absolutely, undeniably, unarguably a total violation of everything the Second Amendment stands for. The proposed laws, all of them combined, right? When you look at that, all of those laws from the state of Virginia combined, the state of Virginia is violating the Second Amendment, and any judge in his right mind will see it a million miles away. This thing's dead in the water. It can't make it. It's in violation of several previous Supreme Court judgments that, that says that, this is one I can't remember, but it's the big one that says the Supreme Court said that the right to keep and bear arms was an individual right, and you had the right to carry, to own and possess firearms that are of, what is the word I'm looking for from the legislation or from the decision? It's of common use. So firearms of common use. I'm sorry, there's nothing more common than an AR-15. A semi-automatic rifle that takes a banana clip, holds 30 rounds, is just about what's in everybody's closet, okay? I mean, it's good for everything from 22s, the little 22s with the 30-round clips you can hunt squirrels with, and the big 22s with the 30-round clips are good for deer. They're good for coyotes. They stop home invasions, so they're good against people too. And I'm talking about these AR-15s. They're just big old 22s. That's all they are. That's their .223. They're 22s. So, yeah, I think that this stuff is dead in the water. I don't think it can stand against our Constitution. It would take the judges there making unconstitutional decisions, but then we have appeal processes, and this is going to end up in the still mostly Republican and mostly conservative and pro-Second Amendment Supreme Court. And I don't think there's any reason to start a civil war in Virginia until that process has been played out. Having said that, I got the kind of job where I can just up and go places if I want to. And although I'm against the rally itself, if it goes through and it looks like it's going to be organized and not just a war, right, I might go there and cover it. If you want me to go to Virginia and cover this on the 20th, I need financial help. As you know, driving Uber Eats just barely pays for my lifestyle, and I have a really small lifestyle in this almost off-grid cabin. And I don't consume much. I spend very little money. So I have very little money. And so if you want to sponsor me to go and cover this for the channel, to be there, everyone in the Second Amendment world is going to be there. It's going to be huge. And am I afraid of getting in the middle of a fracas and getting myself killed? Well, you got to die of something. I don't want to die of like gout, or I don't know. I don't want to die of flesh-eating bacteria. I mean, hey, I was a smoker for a long time. I don't want to die of that COPD either, right? So, don't smoke anymore though, but used to. Anyway, if you want to sponsor me to go to this and be a part of it, I'd appreciate it. I will go. I need about $1,000 to get out there and back, and to cover the time I can't work while I'm gone, because I'll be having to I don't have paid vacation. I'm a contractor, you know. If the money doesn't come in, I'll assume you don't want me to go. But if I can make that basic number and, just write in the letter that that's what the money is for, you can send that, the sponsorships to P.O. Box 2915. That's to Sage Wanderer, with an A, not an O, Wanderer, at P.O. Box 2915, and that's going to be in Weatherford, Texas, 76086. So send your donations in there if you want me to go. if you're afraid for me and you don't want me to go there, don't send me any money because I can't go on my own. But it is going to be a very big deal. It is going to be historic. Even if nothing happens, even if it's just the biggest Second Amendment rally in history, we're there to make a point. And I can see the reason to make the point. I just don't think it's going to do anything to further the cause other than to bring world attention there. But I'm for bringing world attention there. I just hope it doesn't spin off into some kind of shootout, because I don't want to be a part of that. But I do want to go there and support the Second Amendment and the people of Virginia. Because here's the bottom line. States can't make laws that violate the Constitution. I don't care if 100% of the people in a state wanted to make a law outlawing freedom of speech. They can't do it. It's just not possible. They need the support of the entire country to change that. Or they got to leave the country. If Virginia wants to secede from the Union so they can go ahead and set up their communist utopia and, capture everyone's firearms, and they want to have an internal civil war for control of their state, right, or run these people out of their state and put up a wall around Virginia. Well, you know what? That's their business. We'll handle whatever comes from that. But you cannot just pass state laws that violate the Constitution, and the judges won't let them. And shame on you guys over there for even trying, honestly. Really, I mean, what happened to America? You love it or leave it. You either accept the entire Bill of Rights or you don't accept any of them. You want a communist utopia, well, do what it takes to remove yourself from this union and have at her. Let her happen, Captain, as the old Marine used to say right before he got physical. Let her happen, Captain. So, yeah, anyway, big brouhaha in Virginia, but I hope, I pray that the judges will put an end to this madness. All right. God save our republic. Remember, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. A democracy is when two wolves and a sheep vote on what's for dinner. This is a republic where each individual has their own rights. The rights to freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, the right to their own privacy and their possessions in their home. And all three of these things are under attack by the Virginia legislature and baby-killing governor over there. God save our republic.